Hi guys, it may come as a surprise to some, but in order to send people to Rwanda, you may need airplanes. Now there are perhaps alternative routes, but Rishi Sunak and the Tories have been talking about sending asylum seekers to the African nation by air. Now there may be a bit of a problem with that, and it was presented to the Prime Minister when he was in front of the Liaison Committee this week. The chair, Diana Johnson, asked Sunak about the immigration backlog, which he waffled about, and then about planes themselves. Have a listen to his response.
So you've said that you want to see planes take off by the spring to Rwanda. That's one of the things you've said. Now, I understand that no airline is willing to actually contract with government to remove people to Rwanda because of reputational damage. Is that correct? There isn't an airline that you've got lined up to remove people?
I think we are, in terms of timing, I'd say I want to get flights off as soon as practically possible.
You need some planes to do that.
We do, but we also need to be able to pass the legislation through Parliament first.
But on the plane point, which I'm asking you specifically about, do you have an airline that's ready to go?
I'm confident we will have the ability to send people to Rwanda.
But you
there
don't
are
have
many
an
steps. Again, you wouldn't expect me to comment on commercial conversations.
What the hell are you talking about, commercial conversations? You either have the planes or you don't. You don't actually have to go into detail and say, well, we have this agreement with Ryanair, or we have this agreement with British Airways, or we have this agreement with whatever. You don't actually have to go into that detail, but you actually have to answer, yes, we have an agreement with airlines, or we don't. And obviously you don't, because you would have said, yes, we have an agreement, instead of this sort of ridiculous response. But if there are no planes at the moment, then what the hell have the Tories been doing over the last 6 months? Because they keep saying we need to send people to Rwanda, we're about to send people to Rwanda. Well, they don't actually have any aircraft. And Rishi Sunak is talking about, well, we need to pass the legislation first.
That are necessarily private, but I'm highly confident that we can operationalise the bill in all its aspects.
Okay.
That's not just about flights. There's many different steps you need, but the legislation needs to get through Parliament first.
Okay, so we're not
and
clear.
as quickly as it passes, then we will
we're not clear if there's any airlines. Okay, the Migration and Economic Development Plan, which you signed up to when you were Chancellor, I think, with the then Home Secretary. We know that 290 million now has been spent or is about to be spent in the next few months. Could you just tell the Liaison Committee how much the total amount that you've signed up to for that 5-year plan? How much else? What's the amount that we've got to pay in addition to the 290?
I think you know full well, because the Home Secretary has said this in Parliament multiple times before. We disclose these things on an annual basis.
Which is a pile of crap. This is Professor Colin Talbot wrote on Twitter, as someone who has studied public spending policy for 3 decades and been a special advisor to the Treasury Select Committee, Sunak is talking absolute garbage here. Government publish multi-year spending plans all the time on just about everything. That is what spending reviews do.
Beyond that, we've disclosed the most recent numbers.
That fits with your how much you've agreed will be sent to Rwanda.
As I said, it's absolutely right for what are commercially sensitive negotiations that there is a degree of ability for the government to negotiate these things.
What the hell are you talking about? Once again, this response, this fixed response, just talk about commercially sensitive discussions or conversations. Don't actually answer any questions. Like, what is the point of Rishi Sunak attending this select committee or this liaison committee? What is the point of this? He hasn't answered any questions so far. And this is just a small section of the entire discussion. He was asked about stopping the boats. He couldn't answer that. He was asked about the backlog. He couldn't answer that. Asked about airplanes, he couldn't answer that. Asked about how much money is being sent to Rwanda altogether, couldn't answer that either. What is the point of all of this? Wouldn't you think that if you're concerned about sending people to Rwanda, you'd make sure that you have an agreement with airlines put in place? You would, before giving money to Rwanda, you would get your legislation through Parliament first. Like, just think about this for a moment. Before Rishi Sunak took over, this policy was Priti Patel's, I believe. And she didn't check whether it was actually legal. So money has been sent to Rwanda before the Tories actually realised, well, actually, we need to test whether this is legal or not. They kept saying, yeah, it's legal. Then the Supreme Court said, no, it's not. Now they changed the legislation to pretend that it's legal, even though the courts, it hasn't been tested in the courts yet. But money is still going to Rwanda. Think about that for a moment. And when asked how much money is going to be spent on this, Rishi Sunak won't answer the question. Won't answer the question when it comes to, do you actually have flights, airlines that are going to work with you? Doesn't answer the question. And how much money in total is going to be handed over to this country? No answer from him either. Complete waste of time. And this is the guy who ran on this platform of transparency and accountability and honesty. A sham. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.